Every day, hundreds of thousands of patrolmen report for duty, armed with a badge and the latest in video technology. You are about to witness their never-before-seen footage, their stories caught on tape. Now, on disorderly conduct, this guy takes a serious hit. This guy takes some serious shots. This dog is ready to rumble.
Call out now, or we'll be dead!
While this horse is pursued by police. And here are 3 words you never want to hear from an officer.
I'll shoot you.
Cocked, blocked, and loaded with video, disorderly conduct is ready to get the lead out. A purse-snatching suspect flees police in Stuart, Florida.
We just dumped the money in cars just south of the airport. There's going to be a white male, bald.
Police plan a surprise for him just down the road.
See if we can get some stop sticks coming up on East Ocean.
But the pickup makes a sudden left turn.
We're going down MLK now.
Officers move fast to get ahead of him.
Whoever's the unit up near Georgia, go ahead and get ready to stop stick them.
This time, they're in the right place at the right time and deploy their stop sticks. The suspect swerves to avoid the spikes, but one of them snags his rear tire. The pickup spins wildly out of control, slamming into a parked car and just missing another.
He just signaled 12.
As smoke billows from the punctured tire. The shredded tire finally flies off.
He's running on a rim now. He's running on a rim.
Sparks fly as the metal grinds against the pavement.
Watch him, he'll hit you.
A dash cam in the oncoming cruiser records the close call. An officer opens fire from the sidewalk. The suspect's arm moves toward the open window.
I think he's got a gun.
The chase is slowly rolling to an end. When the driver suddenly leaps out and makes a threatening gesture, "14 officers take aim at the suspect. Police approach the suspected gunman cautiously. The officers don't find any weapons, just a man high on drugs with a desire to die.
Need fire rescue in Delaware and Martin. Shots fired.
Contrary to his wish, the suspect survives. He spends several weeks in the hospital recovering from his gunshot wounds and is sentenced to 2 years in prison for robbery and fleeing police. It's a traffic stop in Mayfield Heights, Ohio, and the driver's story immediately sounds fishy. First, he tells officers that this is his van even though the registration doesn't match. Then, he claims that someone else stole the vehicle and he has just recovered it. Finally, he says that he just bought it on the street for 20 bucks. After matching notes, Patrolman Andy Rocco asks the man to step out. But the driver has other plans. He suddenly speeds off as Officer Rocco hangs on for life. Rocco's horrified partner can only watch as the van slams into a brick wall. Gunfire rings out. Officer Rocco is thrown to the ground, but is able to shoot the driver. Despite suffering a head wound, Officer Rocco returns to work several weeks later. As for the man who almost killed the young patrolman, he faces charges of aggravated assault on a police officer and robbery. It may not look like it now, but just moments ago, this woman was screaming for someone to protect her from the man in the white shirt. A Houston karate instructor heard her cries for help and ran down from his karate studio. But when he and some other good Samaritans come to her rescue, things change. The woman is now trying to protect the man who earlier was slapping her around. The angry man shouts at the bystanders, enraged that they would intervene in what he considers to be none of their business. The woman struggles to hold him back and keep him from going after the karate instructor, the prime target of his tirade. But the man rips free of her grasp, tearing his shirt to shreds. He advances toward the instructor. Not a smart move. The man goes down like a sack of potatoes. It looks like the instructor is going to hit him with a right. Then he slams his left forearm into the man's chin. It's a familiar move to his students. But this guy obviously never took a karate class from him until today. The instructor smiles at the video crew who just happened to be taping in the studio when the incident took place. The groggy man still has no idea what hit him. The cab driver helps him to his feet and he wobbles across the street. Suddenly, the still woozy man collapses to the pavement. The woman and the cab driver load him into the taxi. The man who took on a karate instructor and didn't know when to stay down finally throws in the towel and leaves. It's the smartest move he's made all day. Next on Disorderly Conduct. Police try to talk sense to a wrong-way driver.
Pull over, man, you're gonna kill yourself!
And a canine urges a burglar to come out of hiding.
Call out now or we'll be dead!
You've been warned. There's more disorderly conduct headed your way. It's a wild pursuit in and around Temple, Texas. It all began when the driver of an SUV tried to run down an officer during a traffic stop. Now, every officer in this central Texas town is committed to taking this guy off the road. The suspect shows that he's not going to be an easy catch. The cruiser with the dash cam catches up just in time to see the SUV race into oncoming traffic several blocks away. Units converge from several directions, and it looks like they're about to box in the bad guy. But the driver doesn't even slow down, and the SUV rams through the roadblock. Two officers are slightly hurt in the hit, and now this pursuit is personal. The impact of the crash blows out a tire. But that doesn't even seem to slow this suspect down. few miles later, the driver decides to weave across the median once more. And before long, he races the wrong way yet again. A head-on collision at these speeds would almost certainly spell disaster. Officers don't want to further endanger oncoming drivers, so they can only hope the suspect will come to his senses. The cop in the camera car hopes his microphone will do the trick.
Pull over, man. You're gonna kill yourself. You're gonna kill somebody else. Pull over.
You can hear the officer's frustration when the man ignores his pleas.
Oh, damn.
Moments later, the driver gets back onto the right side of the road, but he's still on the wrong side of the law. The chase continues deep into the heart of Texas as the suspect uses both sides of the interstate and endangers innocent lives.
Come on, man. Get off. Get off.
Suddenly, the driver cuts across the median again, but this will be his last time. The SUV crashes into a ditch and officers rush in. When the suspect appears to have something in his hand, an officer shoots him in the leg. In all the excitement, the man's dog wisely decides to retreat to the safety of a squad car. When it's all over, the suspect survives the gunshots, but he'll have to recover in jail. He is reportedly sentenced to 10 years in prison for aggravated assault on a police officer and fleeing in a motor vehicle. Police in Vancouver, Canada respond to a breaking and entering call at a local business.
City police! This building's being searched by police dog! Call out now or you will be dead!
The officer waits for a response,
Call out now or you will be dead!
but doesn't get one. After 2 warnings, he releases the police dog. The burglar alarm sounds as the dog works from room to room trying to pick up the scent of the intruder. The officers and their canine partner conduct a thorough search of the office. They still haven't found the suspect, but they know how he got in. A door at the back of the office is completely off its hinges. Officers move outside and find a bag containing a computer. And their police dog finds the suspect. He's hiding in the bushes. The man quickly surrenders. Officers pull the dog off him, then drag the suspect from his hiding place. He moans as police cuff him, his left leg bitten and bleeding.
Is there anybody with you, buddy? No. Hey? No.
The badly shaken suspect is taken into custody. He's charged with breaking and entering and theft.
City police! This building's being searched by police dog! Call out now or you will be dead!
An officer waits on the shoulder of this freeway in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He's on the lookout for a pair of assault suspects traveling in a white pickup. Suddenly, a man and woman fitting the description go cruising by, so the squad car takes up chase. When the pickup pulls off the freeway, another deputy is dispatched to intercept the couple. At first, they stop, and it looks like this is over. Then the driver opts to take off instead of giving up. Within seconds, every officer on duty here in Michigan's second largest city is alerted to the pursuit. The driver races through a residential area and nearly clips a cop car. Then moments later, another officer is not so lucky. Incredibly, the pickup plows on. It's time to lay down the law with a spike strip. The driver runs over the end of the strip, but it's just enough to send him careening into the curb. Even if the suspects aren't ready to give up, their vehicle is. Now down to just one good tire, the chewed-up Chevy finally calls it quits. The driver then jumps over his female passenger and runs for it. But heavily armed officers and a canine cop make sure he won't get far. The man is captured moments later, while his passenger is smart enough to stay put. Moments away on disorderly conduct, a citizen gets involved and takes down a suspected carjacker with his van. And the driver of a stolen pickup not only walks away from this horrific crash, he runs.
Did you see him? Yeah,
Don't go anywhere. Disorderly conduct will be right back. A police cruiser moves in to block the path of a stolen car in Phoenix, Arizona. The suspects make a quick U-turn when officers rush towards them. The driver and his two passengers head back onto residential streets as police and TV news helicopters track them from the sky. But the choppers can't see everything. The suspects go into an underground parking garage in a stolen white Honda. And the next time the helicopters pick them up, they're driving a newly carjacked silver Honda. The suspects reportedly threatened a man in the garage with a screwdriver and stole his car. The chase continues through city streets, but slows down considerably after the car's tires are shredded by stop sticks. The driver decides to ditch the Honda in a high school parking lot and pick up a new set of wheels. He jumps from one carjacked vehicle and attempts to carjack another. He pounds on the window, but the alert driver wisely hits the gas. One female suspect is finished running, but the two men take off toward the high school. A citizen runs down one of the suspects with his van. Just as a police cruiser arrives. With no hope of escape, the other male suspect hits the ground spread eagle as officers swarm in and make their arrest. The woman surrenders without incident. All three of the suspects are charged with armed robbery. In addition, the driver and his female passenger face charges of auto theft. An Arizona Department of Public Safety officer captures a purple Mazda suspiciously riding on the shoulder of a desert highway. He pulls them over in this remote area outside Tucson near the Mexican border. There's a lot of drug trafficking out there, and this guy has attracted the officer's attention. But when the officer pulls them over to investigate, the suspects bail out, even fall out of the moving vehicle. 5 guys, including the driver, spill out of the tiny Mazda and take off into the barren wasteland. No drugs were ever found in the car, so it just might have been a case of illegal immigration. But the 5 men who fled were never found to tell the tale. Police in West Palm Beach, Florida, pursue a stolen pickup after it flees a traffic stop. Officers fan out across the city.
Hi, let's get somebody on Broadway. 950 on Broadway. What's the vehicle again?
It's a blue Ford 350.
They want to get ahead of the suspect and bring this dangerous chase to a quick end.
Right there at the city line. They can spike them if they want.
Then the suspect catches a break.
I had a vehicle pull out in front of me. I stopped and I lost on its fix.
Another cruiser soon picks up his trail.
Yeah, he's good. 94, I'm in behind him.
The suspect rips through city streets, blindly running red lights.
He's coming up the red light on Congress. We're still westbound.
Hoping to lose police yet again, but there are just too many cruisers.
Approaching the eye. Still westbound.
The pickup barrels toward the interstate. That's where he runs out of luck and smacks into a Mercedes-Benz. The vehicles literally explode upon impact. The car spins like a top while the pickup flips onto its roof and skids across the pavement, taking out a light pole.
I saw what appeared to be a huge explosion. There was glass flying, auto parts flying. It looked like just like a bomb had gone off.
The pickup is demolished and on fire, yet somehow the suspect is off and running. And then disappears.
Did you see him?
Officer Lutz and his canine partner, Charlie, race onto the interstate.
I speeded up a concrete embankment underneath the overpass.
Other units spread out and search the surrounding area.
26 to 10, what was he wearing? Blue jeans. It looked like a blue striped shirt. I got a glimpse of him going over the wall.
But it's Charlie who puts the bite on the bad guy. The suspect is no match for the highly trained police dog, and he's quickly taken into custody. Incredibly, no one was seriously injured in this spectacular crash. The man responsible for all this destruction was charged with numerous felonies, including grand theft auto and fleeing and eluding police.
I'll call it. Signal 4. Rescue West Palm.
Coming your way on disorderly conduct. When a suspect makes a grab for the cash, a customer grabs the suspect. And this trooper isn't bluffing.
I'll shoot you.
We mean it when we say we've got the action on disorderly conduct. A sheriff in Richfield, Utah, asked a female driver and her male passenger about the registration of their speeding SUV.
Andrew, is that you? Who is Andrew?
It's on it.
Where is he?
You loan it to me.
He loaned it to you?
But something doesn't seem right. The ID check confirms the officer's suspicions. The woman is reportedly wanted for forgery and has a prior handgun conviction. After calling for backup, the officer returns to the SUV.
I understand you're wanted out of Maryland for forgery.
Me?
Yes.
No, I went to court and everything today.
Do you have any firearm with you?
No, no,
You have no firearms.
no,
You transporting drugs?
no.
I'd like to look in your vehicle. May I do that? Would you both step out?
The sheriff orders him to the front of the vehicle while he conducts his search. They don't stay there long.
Come back up to the front line. Hey! Hey! Hold it! Hold it! I'll shoot you.
The sheriff's backup arrives.
Get your ass out of there. Hey! Hey! Hey, get your ass out of that car. Hey! Let's go. They got dope there. Have they? Yeah.
Inside the SUV are glass jugs of liquid PCP, which are soon flying out the window. Jug after jug after jug. A total of 5 containers take to the air and shatter against the pavement.
That's about 5 kilos, Dwayne, that he's thrown out.
The officers move into position to end the chase.
You got your shotgun where you can get at him? Yeah.
A shotgun blast fired from the sheriff's SUV hits the right rear tire, and the suspects pull over. The man and woman who ran from police
I'll shoot you.
and shattered jugs of drugs along the interstate are charged with possession of PCP. The woman is also extradited to Maryland on the forgery charge. Two surveillance cameras keep close watch on this Houston, Texas convenience store. It's hot outside, and the guy in the t-shirt wants to get a couple of cold ones. Meanwhile, another customer strolls in and heads to the back. Suddenly, a robbery goes down. The man at the counter lunges at the clerk and grabs cash from the register. Without hesitation, the other shopper takes the law into his own hands. The pair struggle for a bit, then the suspect scampers for the street. It turns out the man seen taking the cash is no stranger to danger and is wanted for 5 other snatch and grab robberies. He gets away this time, but police say it's only a matter of time before his luck runs out.
Air 1, we're in pursuit. We got a vehicle that's fleeing from a couple 150 units on Lake.
Tampa, Florida police chase a suspected armed kidnapper from on the ground and in the air.
It's apparently an armed kidnapping suspect.
The alleged victim has since escaped, and now that's just what the suspect hopes to do.
Air 7, they're still westbound on Lake. We're coming through 15th Street now, approaching Nebraska.
The chopper's infrared camera detects heat and allows officers to keep tabs on the man as he flees through the Florida night. The suspect speeds up to 90 miles an hour, and to make matters worse, he's approaching a more populated area of town. Officers start making specific plans to terminate this terror.
Yeah, I see that. If we can do it soon, let's do it.
Then suddenly, the driver does the job himself.
Air 1, we just signaled forward.
The speeding suspect hits a bump, goes airborne, and plows into a power pole.
Air 1, we just signaled forward.
He didn't get out. Nobody's out of the car yet.
Air 1, make sure those units advise the suspect is not exited the vehicle at this time.
No one moves inside the crashed car, and officers suspect the driver is out cold.
Brandon, did you see him whack that pole? Yes, he whacked it pretty hard. I don't know if he's... I don't think he's conscious. I don't think he's conscious either. Can you see the heat signature inside? I can't see that.
Armed officers slowly converge on the car, only to discover that the suspect somehow split. The proof is in the picture. The infrared camera captures a split-second moment not visible to officers. That's the suspect making a run for it seconds after the crash. Fortunately, the man's bid for freedom is short-lived. Officers capture him several blocks away and charge him with fleeing police and for being a felon in possession of a firearm.
Tier 1, we just signaled forward.
Still to come on Disorderly Conduct. A bank robber leads police on a wild chase that leads to a shocking revelation. And a man suspected of carrying drugs keeps his mouth shut. You heard me right. There's more Disorderly Conduct straight ahead. A deputy pulls over a blue car in Temple, Texas. He suspects that one of the passengers is carrying illegal drugs. Earlier, he saw one of them hop into the back seat after what appeared to be a drug sale in an area well known for scoring crack cocaine.
How you doing? I want to talk to him for a second. What do you do? I want to ask him a question real quick. How you doing today? All right. Put your hands up, put your hands up.
After an initial search, it doesn't take long for the officer to hear.
No, what about that truck and that white guy?
That the suspect is hiding the drugs in his mouth. This guy's busted.
I want to see him put your mouth up. Because I'm telling you to.
But he isn't going to open his big mouth no matter what.
Hey, I'm not joking, man. Open your mouth up. Hey, man.
It gets ugly. The officer presses the suspect against the trunk of the car, but he struggles to gain control. As they stand off, the man sneaks his wrist away long enough to spit the drugs into his hand. He secretly transfers them to his other hand, which he later puts in his pocket.
I'm gonna take you to the ground, dude. I don't care.
This has become more than the deputy can handle alone, and threats aren't enough, so he makes his move. The cop pins him to the trunk and pauses to catch his breath. Fearing for his safety, he grabs pepper spray to disable his opponent. And it works. Now all it takes is a final heave-ho to take the suspect down. Moments later, a nearby truck driver moves in to help out, and the passenger is finally cuffed. Backup arrives, and even then, it's a struggle to find the drugs.
Something down his pants. Let go of your pants, man. You understand? It's right there.
The officers find 1.2 grams of cocaine. It may not weigh much, but it carries a hefty sentence. The suspect spends 12 months behind bars for possession of a controlled substance and resisting arrest.
Under arrest for possession of cocaine.
Police in Warren, Michigan close in on a man who reportedly just robbed a bank. The pickup appears to be trapped in the cul-de-sac. But this isn't your garden variety robbery suspect. The man inside the pickup is a police officer gone bad. Despite being rammed by the cruiser, he's quickly off and running again. He plows down a sidewalk and nearly clips an SUV as he bounces back onto the street. Another cruiser picks up the pursuit. The renegade cop tries to lose him by cutting in front of a big rig at the last second and racing off the freeway. But the officer stays right with him. He pops back onto the freeway briefly, then races down another off-ramp. A traffic jam at the foot of the off-ramp doesn't slow him down. He weaves his way through the busy intersection, then hits the gas. More police units converge and try to force the suspect off the road as a car scrambles to get out of his way. The pickup rockets through city streets and intersections. A man who once swore to protect the public is now recklessly putting their lives at risk. Police hope to bring this dangerous chase to an end by pushing the pickup onto the shoulder and pinning it against the median. But the suspect shakes loose and the pursuit continues. Again, he tries to ditch police by jumping off the interstate at the last second. Officers catch up with him just past an intersection. A cruiser slams into the side of the pickup, forcing it off the roadway and up against a chain-link fence. Officers rush the pickup with guns drawn and take the suspect into custody. That's when these lawmen discover that the bank robber is a police officer from a nearby city. The disgraced cop was convicted of armed robbery and sentenced to 11 years in the Michigan State Penitentiary. Up next on Disorderly Conduct, police pursue a speeding motorcycle when the biker loses control and a shoe. And a suspected drunk rider refuses to come down off his high horse.
Don't get off the horse, we're gonna take you off.
Saddle up for more Disorderly Conduct. Los Angeles, California. Freeway traffic cools down to a crawl, but things are just heating up on the shoulder. A news chopper captures a motorcycle racing from the law in a high-speed pursuit. The police were trying to stop him for speeding and failing to yield to cars, like this SUV parked on the shoulder. The suspect tries to zip by the SUV at top speed, only to clip the back of the vehicle, lose control, and go tumbling onto the crowded freeway. He hits the stalled car with such force, his shoe goes flying several feet in front of him. Several motorists and the pursuing officer rush in to help the downed biker, who luckily escapes with only a leg injury. Fortunately, the other drivers were going slow enough that no one hit him after he rolled onto the highway. The suspect is charged with evading arrest in a reckless manner. You might not believe it, but that's a man on a horse being chased by police. Police in Texarkana, Texas were out looking for a stolen horse. They reined in the suspect off camera.
I'm asking you to get off the horse. I've asked you several times. If you don't get off the horse, we're going to take you off. And then you're going to go to jail. And then you're going to go to jail.
Turns out, this wasn't the horse they were looking for.
Also, no white mark on the forehead.
White mark on the forehead.
But the rider of this horse was a little loose in the saddle. That would be riding under the influence.
Are you going to get off the horse? Yes or no? Yes or no?
And like many drunk drivers before him, he hightailed it from the scene. Now it's police versus beast. And so far, it looks like four legs have it over four wheels.
You need to get off the horse. Get off the horse and stop.
At an intersection, an officer runs out and sprays mace at the suspect. Down the road, the officer gives the suspect a few more shots. At last, the teary-eyed suspect tries to dismount and is instantly corralled by the law. The horse is led away by the reins, and the suspect rides off in a squad car.
Cherry Sunday.